Welcome to Controlling the Mind and the Machine podcast. I am your host, Erica Chadwick, and I am very excited for episode number 7. I am truly loving the process of learning so much about police officers and kind of putting it all together and creating it into something. So if you're following it all on social media, which you should be, if you're not already, you should be. So head on over to Instagram is where I do most of my activity, but I do post some stuff to Facebook. But you guys get to see the product of the conversations that I'm having. So I've got this really cool text community where if I have an idea or if I'm curious about something, I'll send this text out to these cop friends of mine that I've, come to know or I've worked with, and I just ask them, their opinion. And then from there, I'm able to create something that's usable for other cops. This last week, I did this little project called Should the Academy Doesn't Teach You? And I thought it was really cool because, one, you get a chance to share with hopefully noobs that are watching or looking at this social media page. You get a chance to offer them some of your wisdom, that you've learned over the years that you had to figure out on your own, or you get to share some of the cool things or whatever. So this past week, I got some really candid responses on some of the things that you don't get taught in the academy. One that stuck out a lot to me was actually this particular officer. He mentioned finances. Finances. Why did I say that so weird? Finances. So he said that you're not taught what to do, how to set yourself up, to either retire early or save your money, to invest it, to put it places to where you can maximize your retirement, which contribute when you're stressed out about, money and how, working a ton of overtime because you don't know how to properly manage your money, then that adds to your stress level. So I thought it was actually, once you listen to this episode, you're gonna be like, of course he did. Of course he would say that. So yeah, we talk today. Today I am talking with Officer C out of Central Valley, California. And he's a very unique individual. He has a very interesting perspective on y'all's community because he is sober. He is he's on a SWAT team, and he's been on SWAT for like 10 years. So he's got a lot of experience, and he also polices this really active and violent area. So he shares some of his perspective on how alcohol plays a part in the breakdown of officers. He talks about what to do with that energy that you have in your body that you need to displace in the right areas. And then, he talks about how gratitude is one of his methods to get through whatever bad shit he's going through, is finding a way to find gratitude. I struggle with that. I do not run to gratitude when I'm upset. I, will yell, or I'll try and just ignore the problem and compartmentalize it, or I'll try and numb it by, scrolling through Instagram or, having a drink or whatever. Yeah, he had some really good stuff. Shout out to Controlling the Mind and the Machine podcast sponsor, Ravencrest Tactical, where you can get all kinds of knives for everyone. Super cool because you can use my promo code KnifeGirl20 and then you'll get 20% off. because y'all are law enforcement. So head on over ravencresttactical.com. Enter coupon code KnifeGirl20 to get 20% off. And this company has the best warranty in town, in the country. If you do anything to the knife, it's always warranted. You can trash it, use it, abuse it, tear it, wear it, smash it, kill it, all those things. And they're awesome and they sponsor this podcast. So head on over www. Actually, do people even use www? Do people do that? Isn't it just you write in like the name.com? RavencrestTactical.com, coupon code KnifeGirl20. All right, y'all. Here we go. Episode number 7. Officer C, you're out of Central Valley, California. That's what we just discussed. Central Valley.
That is correct.
Okay. How long have you been in Central? Are you from California?
Yes. My entire life I've been in California. Well, technically all my life in Central Valley. Grew up in Southern California. And then at some point in my life, we moved to the Central Valley. And as an adult, that's when, I stuck around the Central Valley and then got on with the department I'm with now, which is based off Central Valley.
How long have you been with this department for?
I've been with this department for 13 years, about 13 years or so.
13 years. Okay, so Officer C and I met. We met in November? No, December.
Yes, December. Was it this past December or December before that?
It was this past one. I know. I was just gonna say it feels like we've known each other for longer, but we haven't.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah, I feel like we kind of became fast friends. I feel like you're that big brother that I didn't want.
The annoying shit-talking brotder? Yeah.
Uh-huh. That knows everything, but then also takes care of the shit out of you. And you're like, all right, that's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know about knowing everything, but yeah.
So we met at a narcotics conference, and obviously we're using Officer C because you're undercover, and we want to make sure that we're responsible adults and we don't give away your identity. But we met at a narcotics conference, and then I actually came out to your department and did a TAC mobility session.
Yes.
That was in February, right?
Yes, that was in February.
Okay, so what? Obviously, we're gonna talk the shit out of the TAC mobility session, but what? So when we met in December, because I believe that we always fucking meet people for a reason, whatever kind of thing you're about, then you always meet people and you're like, oh my God, I was fucking just talking about that. I totally believe in that shit. So we met in December. How did we even get talking about stretching?
We were talking about knives first, and then that led somehow to you stabbing me or something. Because you're crazy like that, you wanted to stab me. But no, I think I was talking about being sore or tight or something like that, and you asked me, well, what kind of stretching do you do? And that's when we started talking about the stretching. You're like, well, I have some cool, kick-ass ideas that I can show you on how to stretch and work with your mobility. And then that's when I told you about how tight I was, that I couldn't even touch my toes. You know what I mean? From the standing position to trying to reach down and touch my toes, I couldn't do it.
Can you touch your toes still?
No, I still can't. No, I can play any sport and work out like crazy, but when it comes to flexibility, I can't even touch my toes.
Do you get injured a lot?
I do. Actually, I do. I fight through it. I don't miss any time, but I do have little nagging injuries. I'll give you an example. I was chasing some suspect the other day, or I won't say the other day, but a couple weeks ago, and I pulled my right hamstring. And it was pretty bad because, I mean, the back of my leg, whatever, my hamstring area was bruised all the way down to my calf area. So I took about a day and a half or 2 days off from working out, and then I worked out again and continued to work out.
Did you stretch anywhere in there? Was that on the menu?
No,
You fucking pulled a muscle and you're not like, I'm going to stretch.
I did. I worked on it. I rolled it.
Good job.
I used the lacrosse ball that you told me about. And I did several other different stretches and stuff. And then I would put the hot, cold type therapy, you know what I mean? Like put something warm on there and then I take it off, put some ice. So I went back and forth with that for about 2 days, and then I just fought through it and continued to work out. However, I would say about 2 to 3 weeks after that injury, I pulled my left hamstring. Not as bad, but yeah. So I don't know.
You can't be fucking chasing people on a consistent basis and not stretching.
Well, I'll give you the example. When you sit in the car for hours conducting surveillance, where am I stretching? I'm sitting my ass down watching somebody, right? Driving around, following people, doing things like that. And then when it's go time, it's go time. And if, sometimes these guys run and you got to be ready for it. So it happens. So there's no time for stretch.
I'm sorry. Do you make time for working out?
But I do have time to work out. Yes, after work.
Well, when am I going to do it? Specifically right then and there. When you're working out, do it right before working out, or even do it after working out. That's the best time to do it because you'll actually fucking do it. Well, you're more likely to do it.
Right. I'll tell you this. After you came to our department and gave that class, I've been doing a lot better. Because before that, I remember you asked me specifically, have I ever basically stretched right before working out? And I always tell you, no. I just get into like some type of dynamic warm-up, and then I get into my workouts.
Yeah.
Well, after having that class with you, I started practicing stretching, and I started doing it and incorporating it into a nightly thing. So before I go to bed or whatever, or go to sleep, I would stretch for 20 to 30 minutes.
Dude.
And it's helped me, and I can feel it because it's actually helped the rest of my body, my back. I have lower back problems, so it's actually helped me. And the other thing that I've noticed is it's actually helped me sleep better.
I'm fucking telling you. So tactability is the injury prevention part is the stretching. Like how you prevent injury is by having muscles that don't feel like rebar. Like you can't have the tightest hamstrings on the block and then be like on a call and then jump out and run and chase a motherfucker all hopped up on adrenaline and not injure yourself. It's just gonna happen.
Right. So we're fortunate enough that you were able to make it to California and actually we were actually able to have that class. So it was great.
Fucking COVID. Yeah. Fucking COVID has ruined life and everything. So I did actually want to find out, how is COVID... So I'm creating a little survey that I can send out because I love me some fucking surveys. And I just kind of want to find out how it's been affecting, your guys' like work life. The only person that I'm really talking to is my boyfriend. He's in Nevada. So, I get his opinion on a lot of things that are changing. But what are things like over in the Central Valley?
Honestly, I think for our department, our biggest thing is just training, because they're trying to, the social distancing and stuff like that amongst each other. So as far as like, for example, for our SWAT guys, for our SWAT team, we've minimized or actually kind of eliminated our training time because of it. Because you have 30 plus dudes being together all the time. And in training, and we're trying to avoid that and still practice social distancing. So as a department as a whole, we've eliminated training, and I think a lot of departments have done
Really?
that. Yeah, a lot of departments have done that.
What do you mean by training? Do you mean just like your daily get your guys, like you guys get together and you train, or like
like
where
so
people come out?
Right. So like as a team, we get together quite often and we train. We go through a series of training things that we have to incorporate throughout the year.
Like what? Are you talking about like physical training, or you're not talking about just physical? What are you talking about?
Yeah, both. It could be physical, or it can be, for example, like shooting. For example, get together as a team and we do different movements, different things or techniques and things that we practice.
Okay.
But what happens when we do that is we all get together. So you're gonna have, like I said, 25 or 30 guys together practicing together or training together, and you're not practicing social distancing, right? So you don't know when it's going to hit an individual, and all of a sudden if that individual gets it,
right,
and he gives it to the rest of the team, then there's no SWAT team.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So now we have to look outside department, outside resources in order to obtain a SWAT team. So when shit hits the fan, who are they going to call? They're going to have to look for an outside agency to handle that workload. And
you guys have the biggest workload.
We do. We do. There's other counties, other areas around us that are very, very busy. But we definitely have a busy county. Murder rates off the chains. I mean, it's chaos after chaos, and with minimal staffing, it makes it that much harder. And we all wear different hats. I mean, we're all part of.
You guys wear all the fucking hats. This is crazy to me. I actually use your guys' department as like a little example when I talk to people about how stressed out you can be when you're responding to like all the calls, like all the fucking calls. So you guys respond to what? What all?
Name it. Well, this is the way my specific unit works. Is we do the narcotic side, but we also do the apprehension side for fugitives. So if we're hunting down murder suspects or any high profile case, then we'll hunt them down as well. And then obviously if it goes to a tactical situation, a SWAT tactical side, then we wear the SWAT hat as well. So a lot of these incidents that we're going after turn out to be a SWAT operation. So we can be chasing down a murder suspect, conducting surveillance on a murder suspect. We find a location for a murder suspect, and now it turns into a tactical operation. So we switch over to that side of it. So we all serve a multi-purpose. And then our unit is small. Our fugitive apprehension unit is small, so there's only a couple of us in that unit. And then, but we also do the narcotics side of operations as well. So, and which is a small unit as well. So yeah, with all that, we're still having to do gang investigations. So a lot of our crimes, a lot of our violent crimes the majority of the crimes are happening because of our gang problem that we have in our county. So when you talk about murders, I mean, these guys commit murders. So that's who we're chasing. That's who we're chasing is these gang members who commit these crimes.
It's so crazy to me. So I live in a very kind of like affluent area. And when I was going out to Central Valley, I'm like, oh, I'll just get an Airbnb because that's what I normally do when I travel, which is all the time. And so I just hop on Airbnb. I'm like, boop, I'll just grab one. And I remember telling you, you're like, bitch, no. What part of town is that? And I'm like, what are you talking about? And you're like, no, you can't do that. That's not happening. Not allowed. And I'm like,
yeah, it's obviously it's like any other town. There's good parts of town, and there's the cop friendly, I guess, part of town, and as a whole, though, honestly, as a whole, I think our community is still pro law enforcement. So it's our community. I mean, we still have a lot of support and love from our community, so that's a good thing. It's always been a good thing.
Is that common in California? I wouldn't imagine that.
No, the honest truth, I don't think so. I see or talk to other officers from other agencies, and they're always, speak negatively about the community and how they're anti-law enforcement. So we truly are, I think, blessed that in our community, the majority of our community is still pro-law enforcement. So we get the support there. So that's a good thing.
Are you guys in a more conservative area?
Yes. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Yeah. Yeah. So, both north and south of us, completely different, but,
so I'm like, maybe we just gave away your identity. Like the one city in California that's conservative.
Yeah, they can figure it out from there. But yeah, we do get support. So that's a good thing. But the surrounding areas, who knows? I won't speak for them, or about them. I know the truth, but we'll let them figure it out and let them speak for their towns.
Okay, so we met back in December. So we were doing some stretching. I remember I had you get into my booth, and we were stretching, and you were like in a full on sweat within like 5 minutes of just stretching.
Yes.
I'm like, what's wrong with you? Why are you sweating so much?
And I wanted to knock your ass out too, by the way.
Oh, it's my favorite thing. It's a little, it kind of feels good a little bit inside. I don't know if that's a bad thing, but like when I watch men stretch, it's hilarious. It's so shocking to me how immobile men are, but especially SWAT guys. Like you guys are so tight, so fucking tight.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And you know what? The interesting part about that is most SWAT guys are athletes. We're all athletes. We either played some type of sport growing up, regardless of what it was. If it was football, basketball, baseball, whatever, or all three or all four sports. We're all athletes, and for some reason, the majority of us suck at one, stretching, or two, just our flexibility sucks.
Oh dear.
Like you said, we're super tight. I don't know. I don't have an answer for that. You may have an answer for that. I don't, but.
Well, I think it's because you guys are stressed out, and it's not a very. I think men, when you're being raised by other men, and then when you're in a male-dominated environment like policing, you're just not exposed to it. Like you're just not exposed to it. So why would you do it?
Yeah. Or simply that we don't practice it.
Well, right, because you're not exposed to it. Think about all the things that you know how to do, that whoever it is that trained you, it was ingrained in your mind to make a part of your police work, right?
Yeah.
Stretching wasn't one of them.
No.
It wasn't like, hey, you're going to be you could be in a really active position, or you could be assigned to an active location. This is important. Taking care of your body, at least in the conversations that I have, taking care of your body, self-care, doing maintenance, shit like that, not a conversation. Not a conversation. So I loved when you were like, yeah, I'm going to get you out. I want to do tech mobility. So I came out. So what was kind of like, what was the response from your team when you're like, this is what we're going to do? Or were they like, cool? Are they like, what the fuck is this?
A little bit of both. I explained it exactly the way you explained it to me when we met back in November. And you get both, because obviously we're type A SWAT guys who we're bad, we're big, we're badasses, whatever. All that good shit that's all SWAT cops want to brag about. And it's all true. It's all good.
Believe the hype. Believe the hype.
But you have to have that strong mentality. You have to. You got to be strong-willed, strong-minded. And like you said, be a machine. And that's what we are. So with that being said, the guys initially were like, well, yeah, stretching, is this going to be a yoga class? Is this going to be some nonsense shit, whatever? So I broke it down in a way that people can understand, is if you're willing to take and sacrifice that and take, whatever it is, 20, 30 minutes of your time every day, or at least every other day or whatever, to stretch and become better at that, because it makes your day a lot better, it makes your life better. Why not? Why not? What are we losing? We're not hurting. We're not losing anything. There's no loss there. So if we can man up, right? If we can man up and take on a challenge, because for me it was a challenge, and I love challenges. So to me it was like, I know I suck at this. This is my weakness. I suck at it, but I don't want to retire and be broken.
And be broken as shit, right? And fourth knee replacement, fucking.
Right. So when I broke it down to the guys that way, it was like, oh shit. It makes sense. We don't want to end our careers that way, because most of these SWAT guys know that it's taxing. It's taxing. If you have a lot of operations throughout the year, you're carrying heavy equipment, you're training all the time. It takes its toll. I forget what the numbers were, but the longevity of a SWAT operator is not very long. It's like 5 years or less or whatever. So most of us that have been on the team for over 10 years, it gets taxing. So I can imagine the guys that have been on the team for 20 plus years.
Dude, I remember talking to your team, because I had one-on-ones with almost everybody on the team, and everyone had the same story. Like, you're just fucking tired. Like, there's just so much all the time, and it's just so physically taxing. Like, it's heavy.
Yeah, and the sitting around for a long time doesn't help. So, for example, like I was telling you earlier, we can be conducting surveillance on something, and sometimes you don't know how long that's going to take or how long it goes for. So it can be a 2-hour deal, it can be a 20-minute deal, or it can be 16, 18, 20 hours of sitting in a car.
Oh my God.
So just imagine you travel and you drive for 4 to 6 hours, and you're beat to shit, right? You get to your location and you're beat to shit, and you're thinking, wow, damn, that was taxing. That hurt my body. So imagine tripling that amount, or even more than that. And then all of a sudden it's go time. No rest, no sleep, sitting in the car, watching for a day or two, or however long it goes for, and then it's go time. And you haven't stretched, you haven't worked out, you've been eating like shit because you've been sitting in the damn car.
Oh, fucking QT.
Exactly. So yeah, it becomes very, very taxing on the body. So I was glad when I met you that was the thing that you brought, and you talked about, like, man, it's going to relieve the pain that you have on your lower back. It's going to relieve the pain on your shoulders, your chest, your neck. And a lot of our guys on our team have those injuries, have prior injuries because of their back or whatever, of getting an injury, getting in a bad fight, or being shot, or whatever the case, whatever it is. And I'll tell you this, once we took the class and they all were part of it, they all want you back. So it obviously works, and they've been practicing it. And we've also talked about incorporating, yoga stretching or some type of stretching class in our physical part of our training, like the PT stuff, and incorporating stretching or yoga, hot yoga or whatever, just so we can continue. I mean, it's a bonding thing as well as a team, and doing activities just like what you talked about when you do that those team building activities that you brought. Those things are great. And
I love your guys' relationships. It's one of my favorite things to watch is the camaraderie and like the close community of police really is. I came into a lot of the relationships that I have with cops going like, I know, just from like an outsider perspective, like this is my opinion and blah, blah, blah. And then I started meeting police and being around this environment, and everyone just kind of like swooped me up. Everyone is close. Everyone is about like having an experience and loyalty, and reputation, and it's really cool. It's definitely different. It's very unique in the world.
It is. Think about it like this. What other, and I'm not saying it doesn't happen, because it does, but in what other profession that you'll see a police officer, for example, he's off duty, and say he's driving down a certain road and he sees somebody, getting assaulted, and he's off duty. He doesn't even have to act to it. Nobody knows he's a cop. Nobody knows what he's doing. Just part of the community. But he's driving down the street and he sees somebody getting assaulted, but yet he'll jump out and go try to save that person. Or he sees another officer getting beat on the side of the road on a highway somewhere, and he'll still do the same thing. I'm not minimizing what other people do, but we do that. We do it, and I've seen it done. And I've seen officers who are off duty help other officers who are on duty, and they see them getting their asses handed to them on the side of the road, and they help out. But I don't hear it from other professions. I don't hear it. I don't hear it or see it. It may happen. I just don't see it. So that's the type of close-knit that you're talking about, that we truly believe in, that whole brother and sister thing that we do. We're going to back each other up. We're going to protect each other. Not only us, but we do that for the community.
Right.
We do it for, we're going to serve our community. We're going to serve the people that need the help and need us. So not only our brothers and sisters, because that obviously is going to come number one, and we're going to protect each other, but we do it for others as well. And the unknown, obviously, we don't know these people. We don't know them from anybody else, but yet we'll step in front and do whatever we got to do to help out the situation.
I'm here for it. I like that. So we were talking about stretching and tightness, and you had, I kind of gave you my theory about why there's a lot of tension, but a large portion of the TAC mobility classes really driving home the fact that stress and muscular tension, or just hypertension, they're inextricably connected. And that's not been known before. Prior to 2 years ago, that wasn't really a mainstream conversation that was happening. So now it's finally making its way to law enforcement, and being able to show you guys that, like, when you respond to certain calls on a consistent basis, specifically your area in Central Valley, when you're responding to all different types of calls, and you're always getting called out, you're always working, you're always on, and there's that constant, like, switch between worlds of, like, intensity and normalcy. I've got to go do this, I've got to chase someone, I'm gonna get shot in the face, oh, I've got to take my kids to school. It's like this, there's like your body is constantly being, like, pulled and, like, kind of forced into these different environments. It all just, like, taxes your body. It adds on. It, like, your body just keeps, like, this memory and this score of everything that you're experiencing, and then you're just a fucking ball of stress, essentially, if you don't take the time to learn how to manage that shit. So one of the things that I enjoyed about you is how, one, you're sober.
probably the one only cop in the nation, right? Think about this, anybody in law enforcement and all these people you've talked to, other than myself.
I don't think it's fair, because I've met a lot of, I meet a lot of cops. So I have met quite a few. A lot of police officers that are a part of the faith community are sober. But I don't think that I've met one dry sober cop. Like, I've met cops that don't really drink, and, like, every once in a while they'll have a cocktail, or they'll have a whiskey or something like that over a cigar. But I don't know anybody. I think I know 2 sober people in my life completely.
Yeah, and you know what the funny thing is? I'm not sure if it's funny. It's funny to me that after all this shit that I've been through in my life, and specifically in my career, I've been able to do it for 17 years.
Sober. Were you sober the whole 17 years?
The whole 17 years completely.
When
Yes.
did you, okay, one, this is mind-blowing to me in general because, you know, I'm a human and I love me a good cocktail. And it's also like a way to kind of like numb and sort of like relax and check out and whatever. So how long have you been sober for?
The 17 years completely sober, 17.
Did something happen where you were like, oh, fuck, and you were like, oh, I need to get sober, or you just like, just never really into it?
I think no, I was a drinker. I wouldn't say I was a bad drinker as far as like getting crazy or doing anything stupid.
Mm-hmm.
But I come from a family that loves to put it down. They will drink. I have a big family and they all love to drink. I'm the only one sober from my family, from my big extended family. And I think it was a number of things, but I can't honestly I can't pinpoint a certain time or something that I saw or whatever. It just one day I just stuck to it, and I said I wasn't going to do it. I didn't want my kids seeing me ever drink, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing at all. I'm not, by no means am I one of those haters that tells people, oh, you shouldn't drink. No, by all means, if you're completely responsible for what you do, that's on you. You're a grown-ass person that wants to drink, go for it. That's just not for me, and I don't want my kids seeing me drink and then me make an excuse when I do fuck up something to make an excuse and say that, oh, it was because I was drunk or it was because I was intoxicated. No, I made the mistake because I'm a dumbass and I was sober. I'm a dumbass. You see what I'm saying? So I don't want that to be an excuse for me. So I've always lived that life for at least for the past 17 years. I have a child close to that age, like very close to that age, and they can attest to it and say that, yeah, my child has never seen me drink any type of alcohol. So for me, it's an accomplishment. For me, it's something that I'm proud of. And by no means am I a party, like I don't bust on the party, man. I'm the life of the party. I'll talk mad shit throughout. I'm loud, I'm active, whatever. But I just don't drink. You know?
It's always easy when you're not a part of something to kind of look back and give it like either a healthy criticism or just observations. How have you seen alcohol be a part of PTSD or stress, or like what are your opinions or thoughts on how alcohol is used?
Honestly, it's always in the negative light. It's always, I've had it, like, for example, I hear buddies of mine or just partners or whoever that I work around, and it's always like, damn, I've had a long day. I need to unwind. I need to go take a drink. So to me, that's in a negative way. And I get it. To them, it's a positive thing because it's going to help them, like you said, unwind, relax, calm down. So I get it. But to me, it's a negative way. The way I do it with me, if I've had a long, tough day, regardless of what it is, I go to the gym. That's where I take it out. I take my aggression out. I take my anger out or whatever, frustration, whatever I have going on, I'll go work out and I get it out. I get home and I'm going to use the 3 S's, but shit, shave and shower, and I'm good. You know, and I'm good. I'm relaxed. I'm fine.
Yeah.
But that's how I deal with it. I think I deal with, if we want to call it stress or PTSD or whatever we want to call it, that's how I deal with it, is using my energy and my focus in working out or doing some activity. It could be walking or whatever activity you're into, and using that as my, like, to escape, versus I'm gonna have a drink or a couple of drinks and then that may lead into something else.
Yeah. I think it's important too, like if you can notice if you can have that awareness that it is energy that needs to be displaced somewhere.
Yes.
I think that's a hard thing to recognize, that like when you're, and this is like me 100% too, so I'm not, generalizing or pointing fingers, but when you're really stressed out and you're like, okay, I need a drink, you're not having like the awareness of like, oh, I have like physical like tense energy in my body from my day or from something or whatever that needs to be put somewhere. Because even when you're drinking, I guess now I'm thinking about it, you're not displacing that energy. It's still there in your body. Oh, that's so interesting.
Yeah, absolutely it is. Because think about this. What do you do when you drink? You're sitting on the couch watching TV.
Right.
Or you're talking to whoever you're talking to, but you're not using that energy. All you're doing is putting down the alcohol. You're not doing anything. So you're still going to feel the same way. Once you wake up, you're still going to feel like shit.
Yeah. I feel like that's a really great way to think about it, though, is going, okay, whatever opinions or thoughts you have on alcohol aside, if your body is wanting to have a drink, it's because it senses a need to sort of like disassociate or chill out or do whatever because it's stressed out.
Right.
Deal with that stress and see what all is left and figure out how much you actually want to drink. You know what I mean? That's so interesting. I feel that's such a level-headed way to make sure that you don't abuse alcohol and use it as like a crutch to do dumb shit, or like you were saying, having that excuse or whatever.
Right.
So, like I was saying, I enjoy very much how motivated you are. What do you do? You were like a fucking... When I asked you if you knew who Gary Vee was, he's like this YouTube business guy, and he just like, his videos get you so pumped, and it's just like, when you get done talking to him, you're like, I'm gonna handle my shit. I'm gonna go and I'm gonna take care of all the things I need to take care of, and I'm gonna fucking do it with excellence. I feel like that's what it's like to have a conversation with you. You're like everybody's best like hype man. So how do you find your motivation to keep going at like the speed in which you're going? You seem to have a lot of fuel that I would like professionally say, like in my professional opinion, is lacking often in the police community, because everyone is so tired and overwhelmed and just in it.
Right. I think for me, it's always been actually truly living the dream. You know, people say that as a joke. Oh yeah, I'm living my dream. But yeah, this is what I've always wanted to do. That keeps me motivated. Two is other people's successes. When you can train somebody and teach somebody something new and they're excited, even though you've done it a shit ton of times, but you see somebody else do it for the first time, or you see somebody else do it and they get excited over whatever you've taught them, or even if you weren't the one to teach them, but somebody else did, but you see it and you see it happening in front of you. Mm-hmm. That keeps me motivated. It keeps me excited about it. It keeps me going. I love that. I love the teaching. I love the excitement of those when there's a younger officer that's like unsure of himself, but then they accomplish something and you see him glow. That's an amazing feeling. It's an amazing feeling, because I told you this a long time ago. There's no hater in me, none whatsoever. Now, I hate on those that think they're above everybody and they get a little too high. Then I come in the picture and I kick them in the nuts. I'm gonna bring you back. You know what I mean? I'm gonna bring you back down to earth and tell you what time it is, because we're not better than anybody else. We're not. We're truly not. We're all human. We all make mistakes. We are trying to strive to be better. But I think practicing to being better, you only become better. There's no perfect. There's no such thing as perfect. Why is there a perfect? Once you become perfect, then you're at a stop sign, and you're done. That's it. You can't perfect anything else because you're already perfect. But if we continue to get better, then we just become better. And you continue to be better, and some people may may respect that. They're going to see it and say, oh, what, you know what, this guy knows what he's talking about. This person is badass. And that's motivating to me to become better at everything that I can possibly be for others, so they can be better and they can get better and they can keep passing that along. Because if we don't pass along our knowledge, we don't pass along what we have, what we've learned, what other people have taught us, then what good are we doing anybody? We're not. One day my clock's going to get punched and I'm going to be gone. Why am I going to take that knowledge with me? Why am I taking that wealth of knowledge with me and not distribute it to anybody? I'm not doing my part.
Do you feel like you have a strong self-appreciation or appreciation for self, or like love for yourself, knowing that you're constantly trying to improve yourself?
Yeah. I don't need to seek it from others.
I mean from yourself. Like, I think because it's important to be going for what's better, trying to make yourself better, trying to improve and doing whatever. But it's also important to like spend time realizing that you are really awesome and loving yourself and realizing that it's you that's doing all that. It's you that's being that amazing. I was just wondering if you have that as well, or if it's just like, we've got to be better. We've got to be better.
I don't ever stop to think and say, well, I'm great. I'm going to suck on my own knob now. No, I don't do that.
So you're not doing any self-love?
No,
meditating?
I'm not. It's funny. It's funny the way my brain works, I guess, and the way I am, because I don't stop. I don't. I keep going. And at some point, it's motivating to see others succeed. It's motivating for me to keep pushing myself. And it's always what I get. Like, the praise for me is when it comes from guys below me, right? So as a leader, when guys underneath me are appreciative of what I do for them and how I help them and raise them, and then I see them succeed and be great at what they do, and then they thank me for that at some point, that's what means something to me. A lot of people take pride and joy in getting it from the people above you, and which is great. I'm not trying to minimize that either. I think it's a great thing. However, I think it's always better when it comes from below. That's just my opinion. I like to see those below me at some point even supersede the things that I do, and then come up with better ideas or better thoughts, whatever it is, and they can push that forward. And I see it, and I'm like, holy shit, this is badass, and it makes me excited. And then now that makes me better. So that even that little scenario there makes me better. You know what I mean? So, but for me to sit down at some point and think about sucking on my own knob, no, I don't.
Sucking on your own knob. That's so ridiculous. Yeah. That's so dumb. That's so dumb. No, I'm going to call bullshit on that. So, okay. All right. I mean, attack mobility is already different, so fuck it. But positive self-talk, man, that is like absent from the police community. Absent. I don't ever hear it. Like you just said, what'd you say? Sucking on your own knob? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Yes. Sucking on your own knob. Right. No, it's not sucking on your own knob to be like, wow, I'm really impressive. Like, wow, I'm a really great leader. Wow, I'm a big motivator.
I think I might do it in. Sorry, I kind of lost you.
You didn't. It was me staring at you like, yeah, and yeah.
Okay. No. I think sometimes I think it plays out in different ways. For me, it's the situation given, and if it's something that is, I don't know. I mean, I think anything's dangerous, but say it's a murder suspect shooting at us, for example. I love that shit. As sick as it sounds, I love it. And that's when I motivate myself, and I'll talk to myself like, this is the shit you want. Even though it's not, it's like psychologically you're thinking, holy shit, I'd rather be at home watching a damn sporting event at home or eating a big bowl of fucking Cheerios or whatever gets you down.
A big bowl of Cheerios? Is that what you just said? What the fuck?
I don't know. I don't know. I was gonna say, whatever.
Really jazzes me up when I have a bowl of Cheerios.
Yeah, but you see what I'm saying? But the common person wants to be at home, chilling, relaxing, not doing shit. Whereas I want that. It excites me. I get excited when I get those call outs. The most dangerous shit I get excited for. That's what I want.
Why?
It's I don't know, it's a thrill. It's like, it's almost, I mean, I don't know how to give you an example of it. Maybe it's like, have you ever talked to a heroin addict who shoots up for the first time, and they describe it as being the most magical thing they can ever experience.
Yeah. And
that's why they continue to chase it. And that's why it's hard for them to give that up. It's hard for them to stop using, because they want that feeling back, and they'll never get it, but they'll continuously chase it. I think it's a term that people have used in the past, calling chasing the dragon, and that's what they're doing. So for me, that's what I'm chasing. That's my go-to. So it's that drug for me, I guess. So in return, people see that as a bad thing. Like, damn, what's going to happen though when you don't have that anymore? What's going to happen to you? Well, that's where, if I make some dumb decision, I'll make it when I'm sober, not when I'm drunk. So it kicks back to, you know what? My other energy that I focus on is, one, my family, but two is the gym, is working out, having some activity I can go to get that excitement. I get excited when I go work out. I get excited to go do a sporting event, play basketball or whatever. I get excited for those things. So that's my way out of, at one point when I need to get out of law enforcement and don't have that excitement anymore of saying, you know what, shit's hitting the fan, I need to go.
Yeah, that's super important to be thinking about what your life is going to be like post-career, because it's a big shift in identity for a lot of people, which is why officers who have shootings that are put on leave or whatever, and they fucking go crazy, because who are they without that title? Who are they without that bit of adrenaline? Or, they don't recognize how much they were addicted to driving fast, or addicted to being able to help a situation and shit like that. So that's really important that you're trying to think about the future and setting yourself up to where it won't be, you can still hit the ground walking.
Yeah.
And not,
exactly. But you're right. You're absolutely right. You have to look out for, when you're young in your career, you don't think about that. You're thinking about that next chase, in which I still love that. I still love that chase. I still love to see that. I still love to be a part of it. But you also think of longevity. Do you want a short career? Do you want a long career that after your career is done, you still want a career after? Meaning you still want to be able to do those things that you weren't able to do because you were always busy, doing your job. At some point, you want to be busy doing the things that you love to do outside of your job, because don't get it twisted. Most cops, we love what we do. We love it. It's fun. Where else, honestly, think about this. Where else are you going to carry a gun, chase after bad guys, and drive fast? Think about it. You don't, right? Other than if you're in the military, right? So you're not going to be able to do that. So it's a great career. It truly is. It's extremely rewarding, regardless of what the community and anybody else thinks, and they don't have to praise you every day for it. Regardless of what they think, it's rewarding. It is. It truly is. When you make a difference. All these guys out there and females out there doing their job, they make a difference. A huge difference, regardless of what it is. And even and to even add to that, it's all the assistance from others, not just the officers in general, but people like you that are trying to help us, that are trying to expand on other things and prolong our careers and our lives. So,
I just think that the world, I can't imagine. So I do love me a glasses half full type of perspective in the world. But to me, again, because I have this like different perspective, I have kind of this insider, I get to be a part of the police fam without actually having to be a police officer. I can't imagine a better group of people to be given the gift of like self-awareness and the ability to calm yourself, the ability to enjoy your experience. That sounds like such a good gift to give my friends, police officers. It just feels like it's such a, everyone needs that. Everyone needs that, and your guys' community is so, actually my buddy Mike interviewed him. He was a firefighter, and he's like, firefighters are some of the most supported people, not just financially, but from the community, from just an overall how people view firefighters. You're the person that's going to come there to put the Band-Aid on the boo-boo. And you guys don't get that support from people, and that may not change. So you guys need to be able to start doing that stuff for one another, for yourselves. So along with that, I challenge you, since you like a good challenge, 3 times this next week, because tomorrow's Monday, so this is a fresh new week. 3 times this next week, can you find 3 different ways to communicate to yourself that you're proud of yourself? That's your challenge.
So 3 different ways to tell myself that I'm proud of myself?
Yes.
In any form?
I don't give a shit how you do it. I don't care how you do it. I think that you're such a great leader. I think that I'm so impressed by you when I met you, how accommodating you were, I sell knives, and you're like, bring your fucking knives, sell them. Yeah. Do it. Like, however you could support me, you were trying to do it. However you could make things easier, you could do it. And you wanted to like help me be better. I'm like, what? Who the fuck is this guy? Who is this guy? You're such a great leader. And I can't imagine how much better of a leader you would be if you started leading yourself with those same kind of words that I'm sure you communicate to other people, because you're very good with communicating how you feel about people.
That's interesting. That's never been brought up to me, and that whole self-care. It's always been self-care of your body, self-care of I guess yourself, and going to the gym and working out and doing those things, but nobody really attacks your self-care mentally,
dude,
and emotionally, I guess, because mentally I'm tough. I've been through a lot of shit that I mentally nothing's really gonna faze me, and I've been through a lot of, you could think of the worst shit and I've been through it, but emotionally, nobody's ever challenged me that way, because I was brought up in a home of, we really didn't show emotion. We really didn't show much love or care or anything like that. And that's possibly the reason why I show so much love to others and push others to be successful.
That's literally exactly why you fucking do it. That's like, right. It's so... brains to me are some of the most fascinating things, because they're so unique and they're so capable of like just insane things, but at the same time it's also like, what the brain is going to do. The brain is like, if you didn't get something, you're just going to spend time making sure that you give that to others. That's how the human condition works, which explains why a lot of the people that we interact with, some of the annoying shit that they do, it's because of something from when they're younger. Everything that's going on in your brain, all of the mental chatter that you hear is this accumulation of your entire life. Every voice that has spoken to you, your parents, your family, your partners, your spouses, your bosses, whoever, all of that is just mental chatter, and that's how you perceive the world. So it's important to add your own bit of mental chatter where you're communicating those truths about yourself, where like, yeah, you may not have had an emotionally expressive family, but you've taken the time and put in the work to make sure that that's not how your kids grow up, or that's not how the people that you lead interact with you. Like, that's a big deal to change that.
Absolutely. And it's when you show those people you care, and you show others that you're going to be there to protect them and have their back, then they'll protect you. And that's how I feel with my guys. It's as much love and appreciation I show to them is they're going to be there when shit hits a fan, and they're going to be there to protect me and do whatever they got to do to be there for me, because they know they're going to get that from me. If there's anything that I'm going to give them, is going to be 100% of whatever I can give, and they know that. And that's why I say that the guys below me is, I'm appreciative of what they say about me, and if they come to me and say, man, I learned this and that, or whatever from you, and it's helped me be better, not only here, but at home, shit, I've accomplished something. And I guess in that turn now, then I can go and suck on my own knob and say, okay.
Suck on my own knob. Oh my God. That's how I should like coin that phrase instead of self-care. This is how you suck on your own knob.
So, but you're right. I think a lot of people in general should be able to do that, but at the same time be humble enough to stay where they're at, though, and not get too proud and too high, because then they'll start making mistakes.
But it's not about that, because that's kind of like the extreme that everybody jumps to. If you are able to communicate to yourself that you know your strengths, or that you are there for yourself and whatever, then you can show up 100%. You can show up fully present in every moment, because you're not doing things out of expectation for somebody else to make you feel a certain way. You're not leading somebody so that they'll make you feel like a leader. You're fucking leading someone because you've already told yourself how great of a leader you are. You know how great of a leader you are. So you're going in like, this is what the fuck we're doing. And I feel like that's how you show up. And you and I have interacted, what, two times in real life? Like, face to face?
Yeah.
And that's what I get from you. Man, we gonna take your self-love. We gonna turn it up. We're gonna turn it up.
I will take on your challenge, and I will do that.
One thing I did want to ask you was, I remember, maybe this was our first conversation, or maybe it was one of the times that we consulted on the phone, but I remember you telling me about that you can fall asleep no matter what. You can be like sitting, ready for a call out, you fall asleep, they wake you up, you go do your thing, and then you go right back to sleep. Or you said you got shot in the fucking face or something like that, or shot at or something, and then you're like, and then I was fine. Is that a form of compartmentalization where you just put it away somewhere and you will deal with it later? Or are you really unaffected by shit like that? And if so, where does that worry go? Because you're not impervious to, no one is. You can be used to something, but in my opinion, I call bullshit on someone that's like, oh, it doesn't bother me. How does it not bother you?
So when it comes to, and I agree with you, we're not like, it's going to affect us somehow. Everybody's going to be affected in different ways. When it's I think when it's personal, tragic to me, like if it's being shot at, or if it's something crazy going on where I could be sitting in a van getting ready to take somebody down, and I'm taking a cat nap or whatever, and I jump out like nothing's going on and take the person into custody, no big deal. And come home and do my thing, and I sleep like a baby. I don't have any issues. I don't think about it. I'm not dreaming about it. I don't have nightmares. Nothing. It's just another night. But other things have affected me throughout my career.
Like what?
I lost a baby in my arms, trying to give the baby CPR, and that really tore me up at that moment. I dealt with it. I kept my cool, calm, composure.
How did you deal with it?
What's that?
How did you deal with it?
Once I got home and saw my child at the time was little. I think my child helped me cope with it, and seeing that I still had, even though it was a messed up situation for somebody else, I still had my own.
Right.
And I felt bad for that family, and I went back and I spoke to that family, and I had conversations with that family, and I think that helped me out as well. Is that if they believed in what I was trying to do and help their child, and bringing the child back to life, and it just wasn't whatever I was possibly trying to do. It wasn't working, and it didn't work. But they helped me cope with that, and so did my own. But when it comes to all the other things that go on in life, as far as getting shot at, and I've been shot at numerous times in my career, and it's not cool, and I don't brag about it. I don't even like talking about it, but it happens. And I think the best times is like, I think you opened me up a little bit more to this, is being able to talk about those things and talk about how, if it affects you or doesn't affect you, or how you cope with it. And before, it was just like, wow, I don't care, just another day. And then you can talk to other cops about it, because other cops have dealt with it, so they kind of have that experience. And you can, it's that cop bonding situation. It's not like you talk to your significant other and you tell them something, and they have no idea what you've experienced, and they don't know what you're talking about. They don't have that open mind. They just see it as like, oh, damn, you got shot at. That's cool. That's crazy. And then you move on. So I think I've always dealt with it that way. I just, when it comes to that, I can get home and take a shower, go to sleep, and it's all good. Wake up, go to the gym, or do my thing, or go to the gym before I go to sleep, or whatever, and it's all good.
If I heard this correctly, I heard you say gratitude is one of the things that helped you through that specific experience, is being grateful that you still have a family, that it wasn't yours. That's a big part of when I do my one-on-one sessions, is reminding officers that this may have been like a really intense experience that you had to be a part of, but it wasn't your experience. It's shitty that you had to be a part of it, and that your kind of fingerprint is on it now, and that's forever a part of your memory, but that wasn't your experience. And having and finding a way to be grateful. I feel like that's something that I constantly am challenged with, is going to that place of gratitude to help me through a hard experience.
Yes, absolutely. And I do that with anything and everything, because I go back to, well, you see kids out there, or families out there, that lose their homes and they don't have anywhere to sleep. They don't have nothing to eat. Whatever it is, whatever tragic thing they're going through, is we try to help. We will make our attempts to help, lend a hand out, do whatever we have to do. But we're grateful, and should be grateful, because we still have it. And honestly, if you wake up every day breathing, what are you complaining about?
Well,
what the fuck are you complaining about?
There's so many things to complain about.
No, that's real talk, because you got a roof over your head, you got something to eat, you got shoes to put on your feet, and you have some income coming in, and the people around you are taken care of, the people, your loved ones, your family, or whatever. What are you complaining about? Yeah,
I think it's a mix of, I kind of disagree with you there, because I think that a little bit of that mentality gets people in a really hard place, because it doesn't make room to acknowledge the experience that you're having. So I think it's important to acknowledge that, like, in order to move past a situation like that, without using the words, you're acknowledging that it's hard for you, right? Like, you're recognizing that it's emotionally tough for you to go through something, But by verbalizing that it's an emotionally hard experience, along with the gratitude that like, hey man, but you get to fucking wake up and whatever, it's never one or the other. It has to be like this mix, which is why a lot of cops have a lot of physical pain, because it's always been like, fucking suck it up, deal with it, you're here, it's just another day on the job, this is what you signed up for. Yes, but also I had to give CPR to a child that died in my arms. You know what I'm saying? So like, it's got to be this mix of like, have gratitude, because that's important and that's going to help heal you, but also like acknowledge that that shit was really hard for you.
No, and absolutely. And I don't mean it in a way of minimizing what the problems you have. What I'm saying is you're able to open up again. You're able to have an opportunity again to do and speak and talk about those problems, is what I'm saying. So instead of complaining about you don't, or you can't fix it, or there isn't a solution for it, you shouldn't be complaining about it, because there is. You just have to be able to open up to it.
Yeah.
So you're breathing, you wake up, you're breathing. Okay, cool. This is the start of my day. I'm alive. All right. All my loved ones are cool. I have something to eat. Yeah, there's breakfast. Cool. You ate. And then you move on with your day. And then, something's bothering me. Yesterday I had a bad day. I had a baby die in my arms. How do I find a solution for this? Well, let me go talk to somebody. Let me talk to my partners. Let me talk to whoever it is you need to talk to. And that's what I'm saying, is that there's an opportunity for most of us to be able to do that. There are those out there that don't have that opportunity.
What you're telling me right now is like, this is modern. This is new. This is so good. And this is what other cops need to hear, because a lot of cops are being led by sergeants or lieutenants that don't fucking tell them shit like this. The reason why they shouldn't be complaining is this, not don't fucking complain. That's huge. That's leadership.
Right. Yeah, because as much as we want to push our people to be best and be better and be the best they can possibly be, but we also have to be there for each other. Basically, we have to be there for each other and be able to understand each other's, maybe not agree with everything, and we don't have to, and that's okay. But at least be able to listen to it.
Yeah.
Because some people just want to be heard.
There's this thing that's I don't think I've ever heard a police officer say it, but in kind of like the mental health world, there's this saying called holding space for someone. Have you ever heard that?
Yes.
Okay. So it's just that. It's the idea that like you're going to create this space for somebody to just blah, 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 but having like the wisdom and insight to be like, okay, so now that that's out, great. Let's problem solve this. Let's troubleshoot this. Let's look at our resources. Let's talk about it. That right there is a big part of how that's a great way for people to lessen the impact of cumulative stress, years of a career in law enforcement. The way that I kind of explain it in the class, I think I explained it this way in the class, is if you have, sort of like two shelves and you place a rock on top of the shelf, and that rock is, every experience that you're having that's emotionally challenging. If you put enough rocks on a shelf, that shit's going to fall down. So it may not impact you to go on 40 calls that were the same, but it may be that the 41st call just kind of sets you at the top. So the preventative way to deal with stress and to deal with the reoccurrence of incidences is to find that space, either create space or have other people create space for you to just say whatever the experience was. And it doesn't even have to be that it bothered you or triggered you or whatever, but it's just that recognizing that it counts as something significant. This was a critical incident for a reason.
Absolutely. And you know what? And some of us take that in a different way, because I'll give you an example. We just had a critical incident on Easter Sunday, which led to a bunch of shots fired and officer involved shootings and things like that. But the way the way I'm gonna say this is not to try to minimize or try to do anything other than this is the way I focus, and this is the way I put myself in that critical form, in that critical situation. And I remember saying something, I mean, I'm kind of paraphrasing what I said, but I think I said something in the regards of, damn, this motherfucker came out shooting. I like this shit. But that's me motivating myself, preparing myself, and getting in the right mind state that this guy's trying to kill us. How do we stop the threat? How do we take this person into custody safely without injuring anybody? And or if we have to stop the threat, however we have to do it, then we have to do it. That's me talking to myself during these critical incidents, when the shit hits the fan, when bad things are happening. And at the end, you remember those things. So then now it's time to cool down and calm down and be like, well, it's over. Yeah, man, this guy was about it. He came out and that's what he wanted to do. That's the decisions he made. What are the decisions that we made? And how do we solve the problem? And then how do we go home and be able to rest and be at peace with it? So that's why I talk myself through these things. And it's also to let the guys know on my team that, hey, we're ready. We're here. We're mentally prepared. We train for this. This is why we're here. So don't let it affect you. We'll talk about it after.
I think that, again, is an example of good leadership. Look at your phone. I just sent you something. So this is the wheel of emotion. And if I can help officers incorporate this into the debriefing process, I will die a happy woman. So just what you were saying about having that after you've kind of come down or cooled down and just kind of thinking about like where they were at, what they did, what you guys did. When you're in that safe environment and you're able to look back at the incident, I think that it will be helpful for individual officers to be able to identify where they were at during the incident, and or other people can help you identify where you're at. Be like, nah, bro, this is what you were doing. So that, and then also to be able to use this tool and say, hey, this particular emotion. So say you were feeling withdrawn, right? And you're like, well, that's not a really helpful emotion or thing to be feeling in that particular incident. What would something that's more appropriate be? Interested. Okay, how do I become more interested? Do you know what I mean? So it's going like, this is where I was at. This is where we want to be in that, if that situation comes up again. This is what our team needs to be like.
Right.
It's all about self-awareness. Where was I at? Because when you get into it, it's a split second, right? Shit happens really, really fucking fast out there. So to be able to look back and have someone like you who has like this very like objective and calm demeanor, but also like your motivation is to become a better team, not berate someone. To be able to be like, hey man, love you, bro. This is where you're at. I watched you fucking, this is what was going on from my perspective. What do you think about it? Cool. Was that helpful for you? Is that what you were going for? Was that the goal? No? Okay. How do we get there? Oh, you need to breathe more. Oh, you need to step up your self-talk before you go into that situation. This is how I fucking do it. Whatever. So like the more you can understand about a person's experience and how they're perceiving the situation or how it's impacting them, the just better shit comes out of it.
Right. I agree. 100% I agree. And that's what we do. Even in our tactical debriefs, we will point those things out. We will put people on blast. However, we'll correct it right then and there, and we talk about it. Yeah. And in an open forum with guys. And you know how, like I said, type A guys don't want to be called out.
Fuck you.
Right. It's like, nah, man, I don't mess up. I'm a badass. Okay, cool. Yeah, you know it all. So it's cool. So
yeah,
we like to call them out, and like I said, it's they may think that they're above everybody else, So then it takes a kick in the nuts to kind of put them down a little bit and say, hey, now we're gonna bring you back up, but we're gonna keep it real with you, and we're gonna tell you exactly what happened, exactly the things that you did. And that just other people's perspective. So you go back to that self-love, right? Some people just automatically go to the self-love portion of it,
right,
versus saying, hey, what do I need to improve on?
Right.
What did I mess up? What did I mess up? What are the things that I need in order to get better? And then, okay, cool, no, you did a great job, but these are the things that I saw that, or I noticed that you could improve on. So we point it out, and then we'll say, hey, but then at the same time, you did great. Don't stress out over this. These are just things because we want to get better and we want to keep improving. So that I personally don't like, and that's just my opinion, and people do this, it's all good. I'm not, like I said, I'm not a hater on anything. But what I do like is guys that can recognize that they've made mistakes, or something as simple as breathing through a situation because they're so high stress. I don't want anybody going into a condition where they can't focus and they can't operate. That's what we don't want. It's what we call going in condition black. And you don't want to be in that condition. You don't want
condition
to be
black?
Yeah, black. So there's levels of conditioning in your body and your mind state, right? So condition white could be you're at home sitting in the living room, nobody's bothering you, there's no threats, you're just chilling, you're watching TV, right? You're unaware of what's going on because you're at home. There shouldn't be any threats. There's condition yellow where you may see a little bit of rise, be alert, maybe when you're driving, because you're a defensive driver, so you're aware of what's going on, right? So you're looking around you, you're scanning, you're viewing, but you're not in complete relaxed mode, but you're not overstressed either. Condition red is you're high alert. You know what's going on. There's dangerous shit going on around you. You're aware of shots being fired. Maybe somebody needs help. Whatever it is, you're in a condition red. You're extremely focused. But
where's the color in between the traffic and being shot at? Where's that fucking color?
There's other phases too. But let's get to the premier colors. Let me get to
A
the
or
colors.
F, pass or fail, all or nothing. You guys, Jesus.
So then you get to a condition black where you don't want to be, because then you don't know what the hell's going on. You're completely blacked out. You don't know what the hell's going on around you. And that's where you don't want to be, right? You don't want to get to that phase. That's not a good thing to be.
I think
that's anything in life.
Yeah. And I think if people understand like the physiology behind like how they get to that place, I think that when there's a level of understanding attached to like your behavior, there's less like shame surrounding it, which makes it that much easier to change, right? Like the things that you have identified with, your destructive behavior that you've identified with, that becomes very difficult to let go of if somebody sort of like attacks, if that's what we want to call it. If somebody calls you out on it, it becomes very difficult to like let go of that type of behavior because it's become you. Right.
I think as type A guys like that, or just law enforcement in general, be able to take that constructive criticism from ourselves, especially from each other, and then turn it around into a positive and be better. But be able to deal with it and not take it home and be like, oh man, this person was talking shit about me. They think that I'm not good. They think this, they think that. And then what happens is, oh, I'm going to go have a drink. Because now I'm just a piece of shit.
Right,
so I'm
right.
just gonna go have a drink.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Oh.
So instead of doing that, it's like, well, how can I improve? Well, they told me I'm a piece of shit, but they also told me that I can improve by doing X, Y, and Z. So let me improve on that instead of taking it completely as a negative route and go, you know what, fuck it. They think of me shitty anyway, so I'm gonna go drink. I'm gonna go drink this away. What did you solve? You didn't solve anything.
That's just having a victim mentality. It's
right.
I've just learned about this from my counselor. Is the victim mentality is only giving a certain level of effort, so that if something does go wrong, you can be like fuck it, and then it gives you permission to go back into that like self-loathing or that cycle, that self-destructive behavior, or whatever. I think if people understand that like it's only going to make you better, number one, and two, it's just a reaction that the body is having. It doesn't have to mean anything negatively about you. It just means that that's what your body chose to do. Like if your body freaked out and you forgot your training, okay, how do we fix that? You're not broken. It's not. just something went wrong. What was it?
Right.
I don't think that people have that kind of that freedom and that safety and that leadership to be able to execute that. So I think that that's where this kind of like self-advocacy or like this self-awareness, self-love comes into play, is that you may not always have an officer C that's leading you. You may not have a team that debriefs the way that yours does, but you can be that way by identifying some of these things. So what are some of the things that you do any kind of like self-help type of things? Are you like a reader? I know you said you work out. Like, are you just like, I'm fucking born with this fight, it's in me?
Yeah, I love reading. I know the guys on my team, they joke and clown, say that I'm a dork because I do read a lot. That's kind of another thing that I like to do.
Have you read this book?
No. Iron John?
Iron John. It's a book about men.
That's probably why I haven't read it. What's wrong with you? Why would I read about men?
Oh, well, okay. I'm fucking reading it because I told you my son's being an asshole right now, and I'm like, what the fuck? What do I do? Fucking, I don't understand this fucking species. Oh, man. But the book just talks about, like, your journey from, like, adolescence to, like, man. There's so much there.
Right.
You guys go through, like, a big emotional transition to kind of like disconnect from like being a little boy into like being like an independent male. I didn't know about all that.
That's because you're a female.
Well, right, but I also think that like there's kind of, yes, but I also think that there's kind of like this, you know, I don't know what the right word is, but like that men are just kind of like dumb, that like there's no like spiritual depth to the male experience. There's no whatever. So this book is like showing me all these things. I'm like, what? Becoming a man is a spiritual experience for a guy?
We're far from dumb, and we're extremely creative.
Yeah.
Is what we are. Yeah.
I didn't know that about men.
We are a different beast, I guess. Different animal.
I'm finding out that men are a little bit more like complicated and intricate than what I was thinking. I just meant it that like men just like it's just like a very kind of like common thing that like guys are Neanderthals and there's not. Do you know what I'm saying? Where you guys are like guys are disgusting and like we're gross and we're. This is not uncommon. This is what everyone says about guys. Even guys say this.
It's true though. It's true. We are gross and disgusting.
You guys couldn't stop farting while I was there.
This is true. It's entertainment.
Okay, so you like to read. So sorry, a little rabbit trail there. So you like to read.
No, and I do, regardless of what it is. I mean, and it, a lot of it is, you know what, my reading started because English second language. So what I wanted to try to do is improve my, you know, learning how to speak better and actually communicating a lot better. So that's where it originally started. And then I started to like it. And I started to get into, from the military stuff to autobiographies to whatever they were. And I would just read. And it was, once again, my mindset of trying to get better and improving of whatever it is. And then, you know, buddies of mine would, hey, have you read this book? Hey, have you read this? And yeah, cool. Let me borrow it. I'll read it. And, it's always been a thing for me. And I think in the tactical world, I'm always trying to read, what other agencies, what other departments across the country are doing and trying to improve and trying to change the game on things so it makes our team better. And like I said, everything is about improving. Everything is about taking that step forward. I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel. However, you try to improve the wheel. Because sometimes the wheel goes flat. I mean, you get a flat tire somewhere, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, what are you going to do? Leave it flat and keep running on a flat tire? Or are you going to air it back up? You're going to patch it up? What are you going to do with it?
Yeah.
So that's how I think. I'm like, I'm going to pass this motherfucker up and we're going to keep rolling. And we're going to make it better. Instead of having this dirty ass patched up wheel, how about we slap on some better tires? Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So instead of having a 20,000 mile thread tire, I want one that's 70,000. Why not? I'm not changing anything other, but I'm just changing the wheel.
Right.
So that's where I get that mentality of trying to improve and trying to get better at everything, regardless of what it is. And that's just a challenge I have for myself. I don't expect it from anybody else, but I do like to push on things. I do like to motivate, and hopefully people listen.
What's one way that you, let's come up with like a little baby challenge. I love challenges, they're the best. Okay. So say someone's listening and I don't know, they're just kind of like stuck. They're stuck. They're doing the same type of policing. They have the same type of mentality. They have the same shitty leadership, whatever. How do they, like, what's a challenge that you would give to somebody that's in that place of being stuck, knowing that, like, there's always room for improvement?
Step out of your comfort zone. Everybody has a certain comfort zone. Everybody wants to be comfortable. Everybody wants to be on that same day-to-day, same routine, same just everyday life, right? Mm-hmm. If somebody's listening to this, step out of that. Go to somebody that may not have, or somebody that may not be impressed by you, or somebody that doesn't have the highest opinion of you, or thinks the most highly of you, mm-hmm. and ask them why. Ask that person why.
Oof. Oh, that makes me so uncomfortable.
Yes, it's very uncomfortable. It's very uncomfortable, but you know what? You learn a lot from that. Yeah. You learn a lot from it. It could be because, I hate to say this, but a lot of people are haters, right? We have a lot of haters. A lot of haters within our own little world. Our own, meaning our own law enforcement world. We'll have haters on each other. Instead of picking each other up at times, we want to hate. And it seems like we refer back to being like in high school, I guess.
There's a lot of negativity.
Right. So instead of doing that, go up to that person, go up to that hater, and say, "Hey man, why are you hating on me? Why? What do I do that you don't like? What do I do that you disagree with, or whatever?" And stepping out of that comfort zone, stepping out of that. It's very uncomfortable, like you said. But I guarantee you, it takes you out of that funk. It really does. And I've had people do that. Like, just go step out, man. Step out of your comfort zone for a minute. Mm-hmm. See what happens. And it gets them out of the funk, and it kind of I've seen people get remotivated from that, because you're right. A lot of guys get into that funk. A lot of law enforcement personnel get into that funk of, man, I've been doing this same shit for these many years or whatever, and whatever. It is what it is. I don't care. Mm-hmm. I get paid, I go home, and it's all good.
Yeah.
Well, there's only one way to fix it. That's stepping out. You got to step out of that.
I've been personally in that space too, of like, just with all the COVID stuff and with the quarantining. You know, I'm not a cop, so I'm not an essential worker, so I've been at home. I've been stuck, and I have felt that feeling of being stuck and lacking that motivation. I just listened to something from this doctor about when that's what's happening, you have to, like, inspiration and motivation is the only thing that's going to change that feeling of being stuck.
Absolutely, I agree. Right now, I mean, it's different times because nobody expected, COVID-19 to hit and be this hard on everybody, and for this long. And who knows when we're actually going to be able to go back to, I guess, normal, quote unquote, normal life. But I think if you continue to talk to people, you continue to touch people, you continue to listen to others, mm-hmm. It's only going to help you, because your funk is within yourself, your own battles, your own mindset.
Oh, dude, COVID has, like, it's, we were kind of talking about that whole, like, victim mentality where it's things like slowed down and stopped, all of a sudden that victim mentality was like, see, look, now what? It's so crazy how all that works.
Yeah. How do we get out of that? How do we fight COVID without your normal fighting where you align yourself with others, right? Because usually you fight battle with others. You fight with each other, and you take on battles with one another, and you say, okay, we're gonna tag team this, or we're gonna do this, or whatever. Here it's like you're almost doing it by yourself.
Yeah.
But in reality, we just talked about this earlier. So in today's age, it's 2020. Everybody's got phones.
Right.
We're communicating right now on our phones, and we can see each other, and we can have a conversation. What's the difference with anybody else? There's not.
Dude, I'm telling you, like the whole like self-talk stuff has been when I created TAC Mobility and I started putting myself out there to different departments, I was hyping myself up so hard when I was talking to myself. I believe in you, Erica. You can fucking do this. No one else is going to make this company but you. This is your baby. All the shit. And kind of that sort of like has dwindled. And then, with the quarantining, you just lose track of that. And that self-talk goes away. And then when you lose that ability to have somebody else giving you that accolade that you need to motivate you or whatever, then you're forced to figure out how much of your motivation comes externally and how much more needs to come from yourself. So I've had to start this week. I was walking my dog. Today I was walking my dog. I was like, bitch, you got this. Bitch, you can fucking do this. But like, that's like the self-talk stuff that it goes away. It goes away. And then the motivation follows, and then, destructive behavior follows or whatever. It's a fun cycle.
That's the inner, but how do you think you're going to fix that?
Are you asking me right now?
Yeah.
So putting myself out there, stepping out of my comfort zone. So It's funny. I'm like, I'm not going to fucking do a burpee. And this is kind of stupid, but like my preferred method of working out is to do yoga. Like, it's fucking hard and it's fantastic. I've had no motivation to do that. I don't feel fucking zen. I don't want to do it. And, I felt super unmotivated, and my boyfriend like does all the CrossFitting stuff. And, I randomly was like, just send me a workout. And there were burpees involved. I was like, I'm not fucking doing burpee. The fuck is a burpee? But I did it, and I kept doing them, and I did this entire workout, and I had like real sweat all over, and it felt like I just accomplished something that I didn't think that I would be able to do. And it totally was that, exactly what you're saying, stepping outside of your comfort zone and doing something that you're not good at.
Yep. That's exactly why it was important for me to take on your challenge and bring you to our department and step out of my comfort zone and start stretching.
What a good little segue. I like that. Do you see it? Yep. TAC Mobility plug.
Dude, I'm telling you, because you saw me. You stretched me out. I can't stretch for shit.
You were fully committed. I liked it because you weren't the most flexible in the class. You did not get MVP for the day. But I imagine you being MVP is a pretty regular thing. It seems like you show up kind of 110% and everything. But yeah, it was really cool to see all of you guys really just committing to the stuff and trying it and like not being afraid to just go all in. That was really cool. How did what was kind of the conversation afterwards? What did your team think of it?
Honestly, is trying to figure out when we can one, bring you back, but two, also add that part of that training and incorporate that like often instead of once a year or once every 6 months or whatever, but incorporating that style of training into, you know, maybe every other month or whatever it has to be. And I think everybody on the team was on the same page when it came to that. We all want the same thing because, you know, our group, as far as our team, we're a very mature team. Don't get me wrong, you were there, you saw us clown around and talk crap.
Yeah.
Do the normal guy stuff, but when it comes down to it and trying to get better at everything, that's who we are. So everybody had, this is weird, and it's and I'm not just saying it because we're talking right now. I mean, these guys will tell you for themselves, is for the first time we had somebody come in and teach a class where everybody took something out of it and didn't have anything negative to say.
Oh.
Because usually, this is my mindset. I go to any training is good training, regardless if you agree with it or not. Because you're either going to take something good out of it, or you're going to say, you know what, I'm never going to do that shit because that's
That's so fucking true.
Right, and it's good training, though, because you see it firsthand.
Yeah.
Like, well, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
But for the first time, we talked about it after, and it's like everybody was on the same page. Like, dude, we need to do this shit more often.
Yeah.
We need to do this. And this was great because of X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
I think the individual, the one-on-ones that you did with each guy on the team was great.
Yeah.
They all took some from it. I know I did. And I continue to. I think about the things that you told me. And I still, obviously, you know, I still reach out to you and I ask you, hey, I'm struggling with this or that or whatever. Can you help me out? And you always do, which is super cool. So I think anybody that chooses to go this route, and they bring you on, they're whatever they're looking for, they're gonna get.
Dude, I want to like support. Like, I think that these type of relationships that like the one that you and I have created, I think that this is the really important stuff for you guys that are out there doing all the hard stuff, to know that if you need something, you have somebody that you can reach out to. Like, you fucking sent me whatever article, whatever news thing, whatever crazy shit happened overnight in your city.
Right.
And you sent it to me right as I was sitting in the bathroom. I'm sitting on the toilet in tears because my son is tormenting my entire life. And you sent it to me, but like I wanna make myself known in that way, that like, send me stuff. Like, even if that didn't bother you, you're still expressing to me that was a pretty intense day. That does a lot for your mental health, to be able to let somebody else know that you acknowledge that was really intense.
Right. And it's true, because most of the time when we talk to each other, we know because we were all there.
Right.
So you're really not letting anything go. You're still holding it because we're all there. All my guys were all there. So once I'm able to let that go to somebody else, you weren't there. So I'm actually able to give something out and be like, let me get this out of me. And I talked about it. I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good. But not everybody's the same way. Like we talked about earlier, not everybody's going to see it the way I see it. They may have to stay home for a couple of weeks. They may have to even take some time off, whatever it is, because it affects everybody completely different. But if they're not able to reach out to somebody and they're not able to touch somebody that's going to be able to touch them back, that's where we get into problems. That's where we get into the alcohol. That's where we get into
the suicide.
I have nowhere to go. There's no out. But in reality, there is an out. There is an out. But are we gonna be able to reach out to somebody? Are we gonna be able to just ask for that help? Do we have the will, just the mindset to reach out?
The vulnerability.
There you go. The vulnerability to actually say, you know what, I have this in me. I need to get it out. I need to get it out, and I need some help. And most of us don't, because what are we? We're type A. We're badasses. We're too cool. We're this. We're that. But in reality, we're not. We're not. You're right. We see shit that may not affect us today, tomorrow, 2 years from now, but later on it may. And if we can't squash it right then and there, and continue to squash every other problem,
that's the thing.
Right? What happens 10 years from now, you know, and it finally catches on, because then you bring it home. Now there's a problem at home. Now there's problems, you know, at work, home, anywhere you go, there's problems. Mm-hmm. Can't have that. I mean, we're always going to have problems, because the work stuff is always going to happen. But we got to find a solution for it. We got to find somewhere where we can reach.
And that exactly what you just said with work. There's always going to be a thing. That's the thing. That's the whole point of Talkability. That's the whole point of these conversations and these episodes, is that, like, you fucking already signed up. Like, it's a sure thing. Right. You're going to have some fucked up shit in the real near future, period.
Yep. And crazy asses like me, we love it.
I want to go on like a take Erica to work day with you, but like in a very safe way. Like if there's like a very, I don't know how safe we can do this, because it seems like you're responding to some really intense situations, but I would love to be able to experience 10% of, you know, what a month's worth of calls looks like. I don't even know. I just think it would be really interesting to see how I would do it in that environment, and to kind of like absorb the shit that you guys are constantly around, to just, for my own research, to just be able to see that.
Yeah. It's interesting to say the least.
There's no SWAT ride-alongs. Why is that? Where's my rifle?
Yeah, that would be pretty cool for certain people, but yeah, it's not always. I don't know. Like I said, my mindset is different. I look at it and I love it. I love that. I'm dead asleep at 2-3 in the morning, and that phone goes off, and I wake up and I'm rolling, and it's like, it's excitement to me. Yeah. And it's not, and that's the part of loving the job and trying to solve a problem. That's that whole mindset of, I love solving problems. And if we as a team, we as a community of law enforcement can solve those problems, why can't we solve our own problems, our own mindset problems, our own vulnerabilities, our own problems, issues, or whatever we have? You see what I'm saying? So we can solve the world's biggest shit's in the fan, crisis is happening, and shit's falling, and everything's bad.
Yeah.
We can solve that. But yet, when you take a step back, we have problems solving ourselves.
It's just a learning thing. It's just a timing thing. Like I said, this is the information about the mind and the body being connected, the concepts of being able to go out there and do that kind of job and do whatever is necessary, but also be an incredibly compassionate human that's aware of like empathy. Up until recent years, you couldn't be both.
Right.
And you guys are really like the expression of that. Like you guys are like a big example of how that can negatively impact people over time, that mentality, that thought process. Because like I said, you guys are the most welcoming, loving, not the most. Not always.
Yes, we are.
You're not always welcoming.
Yes, we are.
But very tender. Some of the cops that I've met are some of the most tender-hearted people that I've ever known. But right. That's set aside for certain times, usually when drinking is involved and there's no sign of danger at all, like at a conference where, you know that everybody's carrying, it's the safest place to be, whatever.
Yeah.
But it's true. You can be both things. You can straddle that line. You can walk between both worlds. And that is kind of the responsibility that I think law enforcement will have going forward, is with the way science has changed and with the way that the vast majority of non-law breaking people are, is you'll have to learn how to do both. to do both.
Absolutely.
All right, my friend, Officer C. I almost said it!
You said it earlier.
No, I didn't. Did I?
Yeah.
When?
It's all right.
I'll have to go back and edit it out.
You'll see.
Okay. I'll make sure to go through it. Officer C, you're one of my favorite people.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you for coming to our beautiful Central Valley.
Central Valley.
And hopefully we're able to get you back soon after this COVID-19 stuff is over with.
Hey, I've been doing private sessions, video sessions like this where I do, they're kind of like grounding exercises. So officers can tell me how they're doing. If there's something, some kind of like emotional thing that's been coming up that they want to learn how to better like manage or control. It's this chance to like do it one-on-one like this. So a way that you can support your guys and also support your girl is if you know of anyone that's having a really tough time with either just their experience in general or they had an incident that they're having trouble letting go of. These one-on-one sessions, I'm doing them for free right now. It's just like, I want to help. I want to be there. I want to support. And it's a great way for guys to hang out with me and we'll just chill and talk. It's, awesome. Me, you met me. It's like this. I'm pretty consistent. So the one-on-ones are available for your department, for your team. If you guys need anything, Erica is here.
Absolutely. Love it. I love it.
All right, my friend. Well, you take it easy. You be safe. I'm sure I'll text you something stupid in the near future. All right, episode number 7. Thank you so much to Officer C for joining me and telling me about his experience with TAC Mobility, telling me about his experience as a SWAT officer. Guys, I really hope that you start to think about taking care of your mind and your body as a part of your routine training, okay? You guys know as much as I do that there's not a lot out there in terms of, programs and ways that you can be recovering from the stress of your job. But you do know about TAC Mobility. This is one way. So incorporate the stretches, incorporate breathing, incorporate listening to a podcast every once in a while. Put that shit into your brain as stuff that is good and helpful. Or if it's not me, hey man, that's cool. Find something that is good and make sure to do it often. You know what I mean? You gotta work at this maintenance thing, this self-care business, this sustainability stuff that we're talking about. All right, y'all. Thank you again so much. If you want to be a part of my text community, and I really, really hope that you do, it helps me build this program. It helps me build content that is helpful for other officers, which will no doubt help with law enforcement suicide. Shoot me a DM, shoot me an email to erica@tacmobility.net. Send me your number so that I can, have you be a part of that. I want to know. Wherever it is that you're from, you have a completely different perspective. And I value that. It's helpful. We'll see y'all soon.